Asian Power magazine recently caught up with Dabajit from aggreko to talk about the power rental business in the region.
Well, as you know, Asia is an interesting mix of developing countries, and there are some economies that are progressing very well. Even in the economic recession that the world has seen in the recent times. But we are benefited by some of the countries that are progressing very well, which will not only serve Asia but also take the world out of recession. So opportunities are there, but as you know, Asia is a place where you have challenges as well that are presented with the opportunities. So yeah, we are very bullish and optimistic about our prospect in Asia, and generally the power prospect in Asia to speak about. We really come in when we are an interim solution before an utility sorts its permanent solution out. So we come in when there is gap in demand and supply, and utilities are agreed in the country, whether it's public or private owned, are trying to sort their permanent solution out. We provide an interim solution by the time they get their permanent solution in place. So as there is a growth in general in the Asian market, take countries like India, China, where the demand is growing much faster than the supply that can take place. So therefore, where we are coming in is providing interim solution so that by the time the grid sorts its permanent supply out, they have some electricity supply to their users and consumers. So that's where we are coming in. We actually go to places where, as you just rightly pointed out, sometimes it's an island, middle of nowhere. Like sometime from a logistical challenge, we were called on duty about a year ago in an island called Saipan in the Pacific. They had their major permanent solution up for refurbishment. They did not have a plan for 1 year, where they could really had to have, if somebody like us wasn't there, they would be living in the darkness for part of the day. And so we were called on duty, and we shipped 15 megawatt of power. We set it up and then ran that for a year. After that, the permanent solution came back. The refurbishment was back online. We took our equipment. We just demobilized. Those equipments are on its way back to Singapore. And same story can go on for some islands in the Philippines or some parts of Indonesia, because as you know, between Philippines and Indonesia we're talking about 20,000 islands. So we get to some interesting places in terms of execution of projects, etc. Bangladesh, as you rightly pointed out, it's a very interesting prospect for temporary power. Bangladesh basically has a big gap between the supply and demand, to the tune of 1,500 megawatt that the government wants to install on a fast-track basis. Now, as any power plant in terms of long-term solution will take between 3 to 5 years. Now, they will not be able to progress as a country if they don't find a solution for these 3 to 5 years. Therefore, Bangladesh provides a huge opportunity for those who can provide short-term power solution. What is happening today in Bangladesh is a mix of two. They are trying to invite some companies that would deliver EPC contract on a fast-track basis that will run for 15 years. They are also inviting tenders at this point of time for about 530 megawatt liquid fuel based that will run between 3 to 5 years. So that's what is happening in Bangladesh. We are also going to participate in a part of them because we have been already operating a plant of 40 megawatt for last 1 year, had a very interesting experience and learning in the country. So we'd like to put our effort to see if we can get more out of this opportunity that's presented itself. First of all, we interestingly find when the customers have used us as a solution, this solution creates its own demand, because sometimes the business that we participate in, customers don't wake up thinking they would take temporary power from aggreko or the likes of it. What we have seen over the recent past is that when you have for example, this 40 megawatt solution in Bangladesh, now they know that there is an opportunity for somebody like aggreko can provide a solution which can serve them for these 3 years when they don't have a solution for the short-term power needs. So this is one of the interesting trends that I think is very important in the industry that we have been observing. The same thing happened in the other parts of the world. I think in many ways our solution creates its own demand, if you will. Asian market, Tim, to me is sort of untapped in many ways as far as our opportunities are concerned. We have served power solution in pockets, but there are many other countries that, either due to our solution not being, experienced, or people are not aware of it, or sometimes due to fund constraints that they haven't been able to put a solution around with temporary power. I think there's a huge opportunity out there, but again, we also have the challenges of fund being available because first of all, the authorities need to understand no power is the costliest power. And once that is sunk in, that's when they go for finding out what could be the solution in the immediate term and then thereafter the long term. So I think in terms of seeing opportunities, we are looking at Indo-China region. We are looking at countries where we have already served, like I mentioned, Thailand is, we have done projects in pockets, but again, there are opportunities that we probably could do better with.